I'm going to let Lisa Diaz of Safe Ed explain why in a video that she released earlier this week. So if I get that lined up, ready to play, and we'll see what she has to say.
Good morning. I'm posting this little video as a call to action for all parents. I initially proposed that the 22nd of October should be a school strike, a parent strike, when all parents refuse to send their children into school because of the utter lack of mitigations in schools, because they've not been vaccinated, because they're like sitting ducks waiting to catch a disease that is completely preventable, to catch a novel virus that we don't know the long-term effects, to catch a virus that's already killed 88 children in this country. I was just looking yesterday, 14,534 0 to 19-year-olds caught COVID in one single day. That was yesterday, the 23rd of September. And I don't accept it when Whitty and Van Tam say that it's inevitable. It's not inevitable. There's so much that we could do. We've already missed the opportunity to vaccinate our kids over the summer. That would have made a big difference, you know, like it has done in Ireland. But now they're just sent into school every single day without masks, with nothing on ventilation. We're still all sitting around waiting for these CO2 monitors, and they're set at the wrong level anyway. You know, we are saying as parents, enough. These are our children. They're not numbers on a sheet. They're not collateral damage. It's not okay. Fauci said no child should be exposed to and catch COVID. Why is it okay in the UK? Why are the Department of Education turning it round and trying to blame it on parents? Why are they saying, oh, yes, mitigations are robust? There's nothing robust. Why are you trying to say it's all down on parents doing 2 lateral flow tests a week? You know, we're sick of the lies. We're sick of the gaslighting. We're sick of you getting scientists, paying scientists to say ridiculous things like children don't catch it in school, they catch it on the bus. It's not good enough. We won't take it anymore. So the parent strike I propose is next Friday, the 1st of October. I hope you'll all join me, and I will post more details to follow. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa, for that introduction. I'm sorry you couldn't join us tonight, but I am joined by some other Safe Ed stalwarts, Sarah, Claire and Michelle. Welcome, guys. Good to see you after a bit of a wee break. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good.
So this parent strike that Lisa's presented there, what is it that you would like people to do? How can people concerned with the rising COVID numbers once more being driven by schools show their support for this?
Can we take this for the start? Okay. To begin with, you can see how angry Lisa was when she made that video. And she speaks for all of us that are frustrated that 20 months into a pandemic, we're still at this stage. Safe Ed for All was formed back last year when we expected we'd be here for a couple of months, just make some noise, and then the guidance would be changed and schools would be made safer and in-person education would be safe for all, safe, sustainable and fair to all. There is no one size fits all. There are clinically vulnerable families who need remote education. There are others of us who are happy for our children to attend if all of the scientifically recognised mitigations and multi-layered mitigation strategy are in place. We'd be more than happy for them to all be in school. We've been running the gauntlet, many of us who have been sending our children to school. I know you, Damo, sent your children to school. I sent mine. And what happened? We've ended up with infections. Now, luckily, in both cases, you know, it took mine a while to recover, but in both cases, there's no hospitalisation and there's not been any significant long-term effects. But no one can tell us what a second infection will do, or a third infection, or a fourth infection. Nobody knows. And the way schools are at the minute, with no mitigations in place and infection rates as high as they are, that is going to happen. So Lisa proposed this strike. We're all fully behind the idea of the strike, though it is quite rushed to get it all together. However, we've been getting some amazing international support at the minute. And I'm sure one of the others will be able to explain where they're coming from in a second. But the aim of Friday is, we know one size does not fit all. We know that there are some people who will be uncomfortable with removing their children from school as a strike action. that doesn't mean you can't support the concept of the strike. People have other commitments and can't take their children out of school, or couldn't be home with them, or work commitments, or many other reasons. So if your children are remaining in school, or they may already be remote educating and you may be withholding attendance anyway, or you may have had to deregister and coerced deregistration to keep your family and household safe, you can still support the strike. So we're asking people to jump on Twitter, on Facebook, to show support, to declare their support for the strike. Whether or not you're actually striking, it doesn't matter. Declaring support is what is important for people to see that there are people out there that know this is wrong, what's happening to our children and school staff and family members. Some people are getting creative. There were some people out today who were chalking school strike around the local playgrounds, some people with banners, some people in other countries are doing lots of placards and marches and videos. So there are an awful lot of ways you can get involved, and we've got a whole list on our Twitter page of suggestions of what you can do to get involved. But it's all about showing support for each other. You know, as I say, everyone's circumstances are different, but you can support each other through that. That's really what we're asking for today with this.
Well, you could take a photo of your school uniform hung up, which was our idea to keep your children off school. The other running theme has been sitting ducks. Take a photo of your child's rubber duck. You've got a rubber duck, take a photo symbolically of your child's rubber duck. You don't want your child online, you know. It's simple, isn't it, really?
Yeah, we'll get the child
to go on about the international stuff. We've had suddenly Lisa put it up, and then everything went mad. We had first of all the Dutch contact us, and then the French, then an Italian group has come on board. German groups have come on board, and then it got further afield. Chicago, Tennessee, some of the Quebecois Canadians, and then now Saskatchewan as well. And we've had messages of support from as far as Japan, and then now the Australians have come on board. So
you can't get much further than that. They're going to come full circle in a minute. But that's fantastic response.
Yeah.
And everybody's going to get involved on Friday. And is there a hashtag that everybody's going to be working this around?
Yeah, we've got two actually. We've got hashtag School Strike 2021, which is the main hashtag, but we're also using the hashtag Sitting Ducks. Some people who wanted to show support for the school strike didn't actually like the phrase strike because they weren't able to strike or withhold education. So the hashtag Sitting Ducks sums it up. You know, we're told by our chief medical officer that it's inevitable that unvaccinated children in school will be infected. It's not inevitable. That was a choice. That was a choice made by the Department of Education without our consent that children would be infected. So it's not inevitable. That is their choice, and we don't consent to that choice.
No, I think sitting ducks is a very apt description for how children have been, well, the position that children have been put into throughout this pandemic, quite frankly. I mean, the government still to this day, they seem to be determined to stick with an agenda of get infected and then shake it off with our children. But as Lisa said in her video, 88 children have died in the UK of COVID-19. People will point to this being a low number compared to other demographics, but it's the preventability of that upsets me the most. If these are the people that get least ill, or the least likely to get seriously ill, then obviously putting the mitigations in schools when other demographics are sadly losing their lives to this, it's only a matter of time before this starts to happen in the children's demographics as well. All summer long, we've been making these programs, going out on Socialist Telly, showing what could be done during the holidays, and none of it was done. Now they're going to vaccinate 12 to 15-year-olds finally, which is great, but only with one jab, which I don't follow the logic of. It's a two-part vaccine. It's being rolled out whilst the kids are at school already, so the virus has already been driven up. My older kids, they caught COVID. My 19-year-old and my 24-year-old, they caught COVID, and they had to have their first jab delayed by several weeks before they could have it. You've got children in school now with COVID. We don't know how many, because contact tracing is gone out of the window, they could go ahead and get their jabs. How many kids are going to be delayed from having their jab? How often are those giving the vaccinations going to have to revisit to keep catching up on those that have it? How is that going to affect bringing the caseload down while kids are still at school? And without contact tracing, how will some know? And what happens if they get vaccinated whilst unknowingly positive, perhaps? It just seems like a last minute afterthought. It's not been thought out well. It's not been planned out well. This is far too late and should have been done over the summer. The government have dragged their feet chronically. As you can tell, kind of like Lisa, I'm a bit angry about this as well. What a mess they're making of this again, aren't they?
Yeah.
34,000 kids with long COVID, they reckon. And one of the American specialists came back yesterday and said in the States, there have now been more deaths from child COVID than there have been from childhood cancer this year.
That's incredible.
Which is a kind of expected mortality, you know, fatal cancers. But no, apparently there have been more child deaths than that.
But this is why we've been so angry and so devoted to keeping this message going and hammering this message home. We've got a new education minister now since we last spoke, guys. What do you make of the new guy? Is he any better?
Rather than me speaking, Michelle, do you want to take that one?
Go for it, Michelle.
The quote that he put up through the week about we won't let a sentence fall, it just was the same old message, the same frustrations from parents that they're not looking at this, they're not listening. And I think we've said in the chat, haven't we, that this is the last resort, what we're doing. We've done the dialectical approaches, we've done, you know, the reasoning with heads and local authorities, and it hasn't worked. And we've got to take more stronger action, and this is what we're doing. So yeah, no, not happy with
not words, isn't it, really?
Yeah
We've tried being polite, waiting, asking nicely, and it's just not worked.
No.
And have you had any support from any of the politicians of late? If you're not getting anywhere with Nadhim Zahawi, have we had any joy from the Labour Party over this?
I would love to say we've had a meeting, but we're not allowed to talk about the content of that meeting. We're not allowed to say what was said in that meeting. We're not allowed to share that information with anybody, but we have had a meeting. However, has anything happened since that meeting? I haven't noticed any change. Has anybody else?
No, it's like in Liverpool, it's like shouting into abyss. It's again, no response from November 2020 now from my MP, and I'm getting a little bit frustrated to say the least. We need more support, and I guess this is what we're calling for now.
Yeah, well, that's like we're going to have to do it for ourselves, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely disgusting. For almost 12 months has been ignored by her MP. Who does the MP represent? If not the constituents who are reaching out and asking for engagement, please talk to me. Please let me tell you my lived experience. Please help me. And they don't respond. That's nearly 12 months. That is disgusting. Anybody else got a job where they can ignore their customers or clients for 12 months and still be paid?
It's criminal, isn't it? It's criminal. But this is why Parent Strike is so important. This is why we're having to give a voice to our kids, ourselves, and draw attention to this yet again. We've got to do it because our politicians aren't listening, our politicians aren't acting. There's no support out there, and the mishandling of this pandemic is continuing. So please do support the Parent Strike happening on Friday. If you wish to take your child out of school to support the Parent Strike, please do so. If you do not, or you cannot, for whatever reason, please do support it anyway online by using that hashtag Parent Strike 2021 or hashtag Sitting Ducks. By all means, get your children drawing pictures about it. Get them drawing ducks or putting a picture of a rubber duck on there. So
hashtag School Strike 2021.
Hashtag School Strike 2021.
And we've got the page School Strike 2021 as well. Strike 21, sorry. Isn't it?
Yeah, and we also have some template letters that parents may wish to send. And as we say, one size does not fit all, but we have a template letter that will be uploaded later on our webpage under resources, I think, but you'll find it. We'll put links to it. And the template letter is either to say to your head teacher to say you are participating, your children won't be attending, or you support us but on this occasion, your children will remain in. Because if this doesn't work, there's always another Friday. So
there is indeed. There is indeed. We can keep doing this like Tories used to clap for nurses on doorsteps. Every Friday thing until they start to listen. Maybe that's what we need to do. Maybe this is what it'll end up taking to keep our children safe, or to bring to attention the case that schools are driving this infection. I sincerely hope we don't have to go to those extremes, but we're prepared to, ultimately, because our kids come first. Our kids are our lives. They're the most important things to us all, and their health means more to us than, frankly, making sure they're in school. Nadeem Zahawi, and your desperation to make sure your attendance figures aren't damaged in any way, because in case it makes you look bad. Our children matter more. Thank you, folks, for joining us tonight. Please do support that parent strike. Please, the hashtags have been given out now. There's the website as well. Send a message to the government if you're as upset as we are about their handling of COVID in schools, COVID in our kids. And we'll be back with another full